Oak Hollow, South Carolina, was the kind of place where people never locked their doors, but they locked down secrets like prized family heirlooms. With its creaking porches, moss-covered trees, and sun-warmed roads, Oak Hollow looked like the kind of town that belonged on a postcard. But looks lie. Beneath the charm lay an undercurrent of judgment. A town where history wasn't just remembered, it was weaponized. Before we continue, subscribe to Unmasking Evil, True Crime, where we reveal the truths no one wants to talk about. When Sam Ellison remarried in 2008, people nodded politely, brought pies to the wedding potluck, and whispered behind closed doors. He was 59, retired from his post as the town's police chief. A local legend who'd broken up bar fights, handled everything from cattle theft to domestic violence, and coached the high school football team through 2 undefeated seasons. He was a widower. His first wife, Lorraine, had died from ovarian cancer 6 years earlier, and everyone agreed he'd taken her loss hard. Then came Vivian Hale. Elegant, soft-spoken, always in floral dresses and lace-trimmed cardigans. She had a voice like a lullaby and the kind of posture that made people sit up straighter in her presence. She moved to Oak Hollow in 2006, renting a charming little cottage 2 blocks from the Baptist church, and began offering private piano lessons. Within a month, every mother in town wanted their kid to learn under Miss Vivian. She baked scones for the PTA. She remembered birthdays. She joined the local women's prayer circle and quoted scripture with such grace it made Deacon Monroe weep. But she never talked about her past. All gone, she'd say when asked. I lost my parents early, no siblings. Moved around a lot. God planted me here. For Sam, she was a blessing. The second chance at something good. They met at a community fundraiser for the volunteer fire department. Vivian had donated a month of piano lessons to the silent auction. Sam, half-joking, bid on it, and won. He never learned to play, but the lessons turned into coffee. Coffee turned into dinners. And soon he was driving her home every Sunday night, parking outside her gate and sitting in the car for hours talking about nothing and everything. They married quietly that spring in the same chapel where he'd buried Lorraine. Vivian wore cream lace with sunflowers in her hair. Sam wore his pressed uniform jacket, the one he hadn't buttoned in years. They danced to Unforgettable in the church hall while the town clapped and tried to mean it. Everyone said they seemed happy. Their life together was peaceful, predictable, sweet. Vivian taught piano and volunteered at the senior center. Sam gardened, read crime novels, and spent weekends fishing with old buddies on McAllister Lake. They hosted small dinners, decorated for every holiday, and kept a front porch light on year-round. And yet, there were things Sam noticed over time. Small things. Vivian never spoke about her hometown, even when he offered to take her on road trips. Virginia's too far, she'd say, and there's nothing left there for me. She refused annual physicals. I hate doctors, she'd shrug. They never helped my mother. She avoided mirrors during intimacy, turned off the lights, always kept the sheets tightly drawn around her. Sam was old school. He didn't pry. If your wife didn't want to share, you respected that. And besides, hadn't she been nothing but kind, loving, steady? He told himself real love didn't need to dissect the past. But deep in the back of his mind, something itched. March 2018. Sam was applying to reinstate his military health benefits. A new policy required spousal medical documentation, and Vivian was out of town, visiting an old college friend in Charleston. He opened their filing cabinet, digging through receipts, utility bills, and lesson schedules. That's when he found it, a black leather folio tucked behind a drawer. It wasn't labeled, but it was locked. That in itself was strange. Vivian never locked anything. Curious, Sam used an old paperclip to pick the clasp. Inside was a manila envelope marked, Private A.J. Carter. The handwriting was hers. He opened it, and the world he thought he knew exploded. A birth certificate. Anthony Jerome Carter, born 1972, Norfolk, Virginia. A U.S. passport, with a male photo. Court documents from Thailand. Gender reassignment surgery 2002. The legal name. Change, Anthony Carter to Vivian Hale 2003. Prescriptions for estrogen. Hormone therapy. Documents spanning over 15 years. Sam stared at the papers, his breath coming in shallow gasps. He felt like he was floating outside his body. 10 years. 10 years married to someone he didn't know. He backed away from the folder like it might catch fire. He sat in the living room that night in silence. Her favorite antique clock ticked on the wall. The curtains she'd sewn fluttered gently in the breeze. Her perfume still lingered in the hallway. He thought of every kiss, every shared prayer, Every night she'd held him through the pain of losing Lorraine. He'd never felt more betrayed in his life. Vivian returned late the next afternoon. "Got caught in traffic near Columbia," she said with a bright smile, setting her purse down. "You hungry? I brought fried catfish." Sam nodded, forcing a smile. "Sounds great." That night they ate in silence. She hummed softly like always. Reached for his hand across the table. He didn't flinch, but he didn't grip it either. Later in bed she snuggled close. He turned away. At 3:12 a.m. Sam was still awake, staring at the ceiling fan. The folder was hidden beneath the floorboard of his closet. His heart was pounding so loud he thought she'd hear it through the wall. In the morning, over breakfast, he barely spoke. "You all right, Sam?" she asked gently. "You seem far away." He stared into his coffee. "Didn't sleep well. Nightmares again?" "Something like that." Vivian reached across the table, her hand brushing his. He didn't pull away, but he didn't return the gesture. "I'm going to the hardware store," he said later. Instead, he drove out past the abandoned grain mill, parked his truck under the rusting trestle bridge, and sat there for 2 hours staring into the trees. He thought of her. Of how easily she'd fooled him. Of the time his daughter Jasmine had said, "Dad, are you sure you know everything about her?" And he'd laughed. He wasn't laughing now. That evening, Sam waited until Vivian went upstairs for her bath. He went into her study. She always kept it spotless. Sheet music filed by composer, piano lesson plans clipped neatly in folders, pens arranged in rows. One folder sat in the back, labeled with a single letter, S. He opened it. Inside were recent lab results, medical bills, and prescription refills, all under the name Vivian Hale. But one item stood out. A bill from a clinic in Charleston addressed to Anthony J. Carter. Date, December 2017. Tucked in the folder was a receipt for a burner phone, purchased at a gas station 2 counties over. Sam's blood ran cold. He searched the house, calm and methodical like he used to during his police years. It didn't take long. In a locked box behind Vivian's sweaters, he found the phone. He turned it on. One active thread. Dr. Klein. He opened the messages. "Dr. Klein, I need final confirmation. Are you going through with it?" "Vivian, yes. This week. I'll handle my side. He won't know until it's done." Sam stared at the glowing screen. His hands trembled. He scrolled further. "Vivian, the money will be wired by Friday. The documents are ready. Dr. Klein, does he suspect anything?" "Vivian, not yet. But if he finds out, I'm done for." Sam dropped the phone like it had bitten him. What the hell did "handle my side" mean? What documents? Was she?
If you're enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means the world to us. We're just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video.
He planning to disappear? Kill him? Take his money? He didn't know. But now he was afraid. That night he confronted her. She stood in the hallway in her bathrobe, damp curls framing her face. "I found it, Vivian." Her face went pale. "Found what?" "The folder. The phone. The messages." She stepped back. "Sam, I can explain." "No. You're going to listen." She reached for him instinctively. He slapped her. It wasn't hard, but it was sharp, and the sound of it echoed through the house louder than any shout. She gasped, hand flying to her cheek. He stood there, chest heaving, eyes blazing. 10 years, he said. "You made a fool of me for 10 years. Vivian's voice trembled. "You hit me." He said nothing. She turned and walked away without another word. That night, around 8 p.m., Sam sat in the dark with a glass of bourbon. The porch light buzzed. He saw the shape of her car pulling into the driveway. Vivian got out slowly, her face pale, a small suitcase in hand. She stepped inside and closed the door behind her. She didn't speak at first. "I came back," she finally said. "We need to talk." Sam didn't move from his chair. "Yes," he said. "We do." She walked toward him slowly. Her steps were hesitant, her face unreadable. "I shouldn't have left like that," she whispered. "But I was scared." He looked up, eyes like stone. "Scared of me?" Vivian looked down. Sam pulled the burner phone from his pocket and held it up. Her face drained of color. "What is this?" he asked. She didn't answer. "What were you planning, Vivian? Tell me now." The room was dim, lit only by a single table lamp and the bluish flicker of the muted TV. Outside, the crickets buzzed. Inside, you could hear the weight of a decade crashing down in real time. Vivian Hale stood frozen in the living room doorway of their quiet Oak Hollow home. suitcase still in hand. Her floral coat was damp with night mist. Her eyes were wide, not with surprise but with fear. Sam Ellison sat still in his recliner, clutching the burner phone in his thick, weathered hand like a weapon. He didn't raise his voice. That's what made it worse. "Start talking," he said. "Now." Vivian didn't move. "Where did you get that?" "I went looking for the truth," he said, "because clearly I never had it." She took a slow step forward, setting her bag down near the stairs. "Sam, you lied to me for 10 years. His voice cracked now. "10 years, Vivian." "I never lied," she whispered. "I just didn't tell you everything." "He won't know until it's done?" "That's not just an omission. That's betrayal." Vivian dropped her coat on the arm of the couch. She looked suddenly older, tired, drained of all that charming lightness she used to wear like perfume. "I was going to leave," she admitted. He raised an eyebrow. "With my money?" "No." He stood now. "With what then? What was Dr. Klein helping you handle? Because whatever it is, it sounds a hell of a lot like a setup." Vivian flinched. "I was afraid." "Of what? Me?" He took a step closer. "I would have died for you, Viv." "That's the problem," she snapped. "You loved a version of me that was never real. And if I told you the truth, you would have felt cheated. So instead you made me a fool." Tears welled in her eyes. "I didn't want to hurt you. I was trying to protect you from knowing, from changing how you saw me." Well, mission failed. The rain had been coming down hard that night. Flashback, 2005, Norfolk, Virginia. Anthony Carter stared at his reflection in the cracked mirror of a motel bathroom, bandaged across the ribs, a hormone patch stuck to his shoulder, bruises fading across his jaw. He'd left home 3 years earlier with no plan, just a duffel bag, a name he couldn't wear anymore, and the hope that somewhere he could exist without hiding. A year later he started hormone therapy. 2 years later, gender reassignment surgery in Thailand. 3 years later he changed his name to Vivian Hale. She stopped returning her sister's letters. She disappeared entirely, and for a while it worked, until she found Oak Hollow and started to believe in the fantasy she'd built. Vivian paced now, unraveling. "I had a life before this. One filled with doctors, with fear, with looking over my shoulder every time someone looked at me too long. And then I met you. I didn't mean to fall in love, but I did. And the longer it went on, the more afraid I got." "Afraid of me?" Sam asked again, quieter now. "Afraid of losing the one person who didn't treat me like a mistake." Silence sat thick between them. Then Sam asked, "What's in Charleston?" She hesitated. He nodded. "That's what I thought." "I wasn't seeing someone," she said quickly. "I was working with someone who helps women, trans women, get out of dangerous relationships. Women who've been hurt." His brow furrowed. "Dangerous. You hit me, Sam. One slap. After 10 years of lies. You think that makes me—" "I'm not saying you're evil. I'm saying I was scared. You looked at me like I was a stranger. And that's how men like you become dangerous." Sam walked over to the desk, yanked open the drawer where he'd first found the folio. He slammed another folder onto the coffee table. "Explain this," he said. Vivian's eyes scanned the documents. The life insurance update form, unsigned in his hand but signed in a copy in her handwriting. "You forged my signature," he said, barely above a whisper. "I didn't. I swear I printed the draft and I thought you signed it months ago." "Bull. I never submitted it. Look at the date stamp. It was never filed." Sam did. She was right. "Then what was the plan?" he asked. Vivian sank into the couch. "I was going to disappear. I wasn't going to take anything. No money. No insurance. Nothing. I just wanted to leave before this got worse." "And the burner phone?" "For safety. If I'd used my regular phone, it could be traced. You're a cop. You know how people track women who leave." Sam sat down, slower now. "So you were planning a clean break?" "Yes." "Then why not just tell me?" "Because I still loved you, Sam." He looked at her. For a moment she didn't look like a liar. She looked like a scared woman unraveling. But it wasn't enough. Sam remembered his daughter's words clearly now. "You sure you know everything about her, Dad?" He'd laughed. Dismissed it. Now Jasmine wasn't returning his calls. He stood and walked toward the door. "I need air." Vivian stood too. "Sam, please." "Don't," he said. "Just don't." He stepped out onto the porch, breathing in the night air like it was medicine. Across the street, Harold Baines, the retired judge, was watching from his front lawn. No wave this time. Just quiet eyes. Sam turned away. 2 days passed. Vivian stayed in the guest room. Sam didn't ask her to leave. Not yet. Something in him needed answers more than distance. Then on Friday morning he opened their joint bank account. A $12,000 wire transfer had been scheduled to an account in Charleston. The name, Ezra Klein. He stormed into the house. Who is he? Vivian blinked. Who? Dr. Klein. $12,000 of our savings? Vivian paled. He runs a safe house program. That's what I was working with him on. With my money? I was going to put it back. It was temporary. You didn't ask me. You didn't tell me. You've been living in my house, sleeping in my bed, using my name, and planning an escape for God knows how long. Vivian stood, her hands shaking. I had to protect myself. From what? Sam shouted. The man who sat up with you during the flu, who bought your favorite soap even when it cost $10 a bar, who buried his first wife and thought he'd found hope again? Vivian shouted back. From the man who called me a freak when he finally saw me. The fight spilled into the kitchen. I should have let you walk out that first night, Sam muttered, pacing. I tried to, Vivian said. And you grabbed me. Because you were running. Because I was terrified. Sam opened the drawer near the fridge. The one with the old revolver, his father's .38 from the force. Was a reflex. He didn't point it. Didn't even lift it out. But Vivian saw it. And she reacted. She lunged, grabbing for his arm. Don't you dare. He spun toward her. They struggled. His hand on the gun. Her hand on his wrist. A shot. A scream. And then, silence. Sam staggered back, hand pressed to his chest, dark red blooming across his flannel shirt. Vivian froze, the revolver still in her hands. He collapsed to the floor, gasping. Sam, she dropped beside him. Sam, stay with me. He blinked once. Then nothing. Just stillness. Vivian pressed her hands to the wound. No, 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 no. She grabbed the landline. Dialed. 911, what's your emergency? A sob broke through her chest. I shot my husband. I think he's dead. Blue and red lights lit up the quiet street. Neighbors stood outside in robes, clutching mugs, whispering. In the back of the cruiser, handcuffed and blood-soaked, Vivian stared at the house. Their house, as it grew smaller through the rear window. Detective Nia Caldwell, a steely woman in her mid-40s, watched her from the front seat. You'll have time to explain, she said. But right now, you need to stay quiet. Vivian didn't answer. Because for the first time in years, she had nothing left to say. The steel door to the interrogation room closed with a finality that echoed in Vivian Hale's chest. Her hands, still stained with dried blood, were cuffed loosely in front of her. The air in the room smelled of bleach and something colder, judgment. Detective Nia Caldwell entered silently. She was composed, tall, with cropped natural hair and an expression that had seen far too many confessions in rooms like this. She didn't sit right away. Just studied Vivian like a puzzle she already knew the answer to. I'm Detective Caldwell. I need to ask you some questions, Ms. Hale. Vivian didn't correct the name. She simply nodded. Would you like a lawyer present? Vivian shook her head. No. I'll talk. Caldwell opened a beige folder and laid out a photograph. The photo was of Sam, collapsed on the kitchen floor. Blood pooled beneath him. His eyes open, unseeing. Vivian flinched but didn't look away. Tell me what happened, Caldwell said. Vivian took a shaky breath. He found out who I used to be, who I really was. He found my old documents, the folder, then the phone, and he changed. I mean, overnight, like I was a stranger. He slapped you. Yes, once. But it wasn't the slap that broke me. It was the way he looked at me afterward. Like what? Like I was a monster, Vivian whispered. Like I was something he needed to erase. Caldwell's tone was even. So you shot him? No, Vivian said, eyes welling. We struggled over the gun. He went for it first. I went to stop him. It went off. I never meant to shoot him. I called 911 the second I realized he wasn't breathing. The detective leaned back in her chair. You forged his signature on a life insurance document. No. I printed the draft. I never submitted it. You wired $12,000 to a man named Ezra Klein. Vivian hesitated. He helps people like me. Trans women who are in danger. Who need to get out. Did he know you were planning to leave your husband? Yes. He didn't know about the gun. And the message, he won't know until it's done? What was that? I meant the goodbye, Vivian said, voice barely above a whisper. I meant disappearing before Sam had the chance to hurt me. Detective Caldwell stared at her for a long moment, then stood. "I've seen liars before, Miss Hale," she said quietly, "and I've seen survivors. The trouble is, most people can be both." News broke within 12 hours. Former police chief killed in domestic incident, wife in custody. Oak Hollow was stunned. Local reporters scrambled. Twitter and Facebook lit up. Speculation spread like wildfire. Some headlines screamed, "Deceiver in disguise." Others whispered, "Trans widow or cold-blooded killer?" Some townsfolk swore they'd always known something was off. Others defended her. But in the church pews, grocery store aisles, and coffee shop booths, the real conversation was more complicated. Was it murder? Was it survival? Was it both? Vivian was charged with voluntary manslaughter, fraudulent misrepresentation in marriage, use of a firearm in the commission of a felony. Her defense attorney, Ava Mercer, was a fierce, sharp-witted advocate from Charleston who specialized in defending marginalized women. The courtroom was full every day. In the front row, Jasmine and Elise Ellison, Sam's daughters, both dressed in black. Neither looked at Vivian once. The prosecution painted a picture of manipulation. "She lied her way into his life," the district attorney said. "And when the truth came out, she silenced the one man who trusted her." They showed the burner phone messages, the unsigned insurance policy, the $12,000 wire. They played the 911 call on a loop. The defense told a different story. "She is not a killer," Ava Mercer said. "She is a woman who built a life out of nothing. A woman who was outed, humiliated, physically assaulted, and who reacted in fear during a struggle. She called for help. She didn't run. She didn't hide. She stayed." Vivian took the stand. "I loved him," she said. "Even when he hated me, I still loved him." "Why didn't you tell him the truth from the beginning?" the prosecutor asked. "Because I was afraid of exactly what happened. Which is that he'd stop seeing me as human." 3 days passed. On the morning of deliberation, the courthouse steps were lined with reporters and protesters. One sign read, "Justice for Sam." Another read, "Trans lives aren't lies." Inside, the jury returned. The clerk read the verdict. Count 1, not guilty of second-degree murder. Count 2, guilty of voluntary manslaughter. Count 3, dismissed on technical grounds. The sentence, 6 years in prison. Parole eligibility, 3 years. Vivian didn't cry. Neither did Jasmine or Elise. But as she was led away, she glanced back once, not at the jury, not at the judge, but at the empty seat Sam had once filled. 2 years into her sentence at Leeville Correctional Institute for Women, in May 2020, Vivian received a letter. No return address. Inside was a single handwritten page. "I hated you for what you did to my dad. I hated you for who you were or what I thought that meant. But I watched your trial, and I listened, and now I don't know what to think. I don't forgive you, but I'm not sure I blame you anymore either. J." Vivian held the letter for hours. She didn't cry. But when her bunkmate asked why she skipped dinner, she just said, "I forgot how heavy some words can be." Vivian Hale was granted parole in May 2023. She moved to Asheville, North Carolina, under her original legal name, Anna Carter. She worked at a nonprofit art center, teaching piano to children from shelters and halfway homes. She lived above a bakery. Her plants survived. Her reputation remained quiet. She never hid who she was again. She didn't ask for visitors. She didn't reach out to Sam's family. She didn't date. But she lived. Not boldly. Not loudly. But in truth. One warm April morning in 2024, she drove to a cemetery just outside of Charleston. She brought no flowers. Just a folded photo from her wedding day. Sam's face was full of joy. Hers hopeful. She placed it on his grave and stood there for a long time. "I loved you," she said. "And I was terrified of you. Both can be true." The wind shifted. Somewhere nearby, a wind chime rang gently from a tree. Vivian closed her eyes. "I didn't come here for forgiveness. I came to stop lying. Even to myself." She turned and walked back to her car. She didn't look back. In a small southern town that never welcomed outsiders, a quiet woman lived behind piano keys and soft smiles, hiding a truth she thought no one could ever understand. When her truth came out, love turned to violence. And a decade of trust unraveled in one terrifying instant. Was she a deceiver? A victim? A survivor? Or was she simply human, flawed, afraid, and desperate to be seen? The truth, as always, lies not in what was hidden, but in what we refuse to see, even when it's standing right in front of us. like this video. Subscribe for more powerful stories every week. And comment below, do you believe Vivian was a victim or a murderer? This is Unmasking Evil, True Crime, where we don't just tell stories. We reveal the truths no one wants to talk about.